recently we were just talking about that Dusty Sun series, and what resonated with me, aside from the fact that, okay, I can relate to growing up as a male in a South Asian household, but what other ways, can we, kind of relate to that in our lives, in our careers, right? And having a physician's practice, a lot of times that patient-physician relationship, I feel like there's been a lot of, I guess, change over the last, 5-10 years, right? There's, patients' distrust of physicians, people they're rushing through, I don't get enough time. The physicians are, constantly feeling like, I have to rush to see more patients because I'm getting, cramped from the insurance company. So what struggles is that physician-patient relationship, that human touch. And I feel like a lot of times this Dusty Sons thing could relate, to physicians as well as patients, like just the way that physicians are towards their patients, the way that patients are towards their physicians. These are, probably things that we need to change and work on as well. And things that we were discussing, like, for example, like just the art of saying hello. Like, you greet someone, you sit down and say, how's your day? What brings you in?
Yeah.
That right there changes the interaction versus you having a hand on the door and saying, all right, use this, and I'm leaving in 30 seconds before I even know who you are.
Yeah.
So I feel like, that Dusty Sun series can be really, really relevant, aside from just, how to raise your kids, just how to, be in society, how to
be human
regain
again.
that human,
How to pause.
And that's what it is. Like, so I have 2 boys. So yes, I call it the Dusty Sun series, but it's not just about gender, because this is just raising children. And so how do we ensure that we are teaching them how to be empathetic, how to be collaborative, how to be open-minded, how to be insightful or pay attention to their own feelings? Like, these are just things that I think is so important to teach from a young age. Like, we were writing letters to Santa, and Carter, my 7-year-old, was just like bullet points of the stuff he wanted. And I was like, sir, you want to like backtrack a little and maybe ask Santa how he doing? What are you doing? And so it's just like really jumping into every opportunity of a lesson, right? Like, there's so many all the time. I was unpacking from our vacation and I'm overwhelmed and there's so much clothing that needs to be put away. And I was like, I'm the one that does this series. Get in here, get your clothes. And he threw a little fit. He's like, why do I have to do it? And I was like, because my mom used to unpack for everyone, right? We're not doing that. Right. You know where your clothes go. And it's also letting go of how I would have wanted it to be. It's going to be a little messy and unorganized in his drawers, but he did it and he's taking pride in it.
Yes. So it's letting go of that control.
Letting go of the control so that he learns to do it on his own. Yeah. Be independent.
I mean, with kids, boys that are older, I always have the conversation of if we let go of control. So what always happens in our house is, it's 3:45, we have to be out the door at 3:47, and it's like, I can't find this and I can't find that. And I always say, well, to your point, if you let go of control, let them put it away, wherever they put it away, however they put it away. But then they're going to know where it is. But when we're putting it away, then half the time they can't even find it, right? And now we're all arguing, we're all upset at each other, we're not on time. So I think control's one, but I think the other thing, when you spoke about, just going back to being human, I think a lot of what we see also is a patient will have an experience. And without even following up or, maybe having a call to like the office manager to say, hey, this happened. It's quick. I'm going to put a review on social media.
Let's leave you a 1-star.
It's going to be a 1 or 2 star. And you're trying to understand what happened. And it's like, why are we as a society so quick to pick this up and put something out there instead of just picking up the phone and saying, can I just have a conversation? I remember there was an incident where there was a 1-star review for one of our previous employees, but her sister had passed away. Yeah. So she wasn't able to authentically be there, hold space. Like, she did the best she could.
Yeah.
And had you called and maybe heard the story, maybe then that's why she wasn't as happy as you wanted her to be, or, whatever. But we're forgetting that just being human. We're so transactional, right? Like, I'm here, you're gonna see me. There's no emotions, there's no empathy, and so often you're looking at these reviews and you're like, but you didn't even call. Like, did we even talk to you? What happened here? You know, and a lot of times the providers, or if it's the employees, they're like, I thought that we had a great,
everything went well.
And then something happened at home,
right?
And then you were so quick. And it's, you know, learning how to talk to communicate. I think we've, you know, as a society, because we have the phones, is we don't communicate. You know, have some of these hard conversations of, you know, you did something and that didn't sit well with me, or you said something, and a lot of the time, 9 out of 10 times, the other person's going to understand and apologize. You know, and that one time you're just going to have a little bit of a deeper dive into the conversation of what happened. But, you know, when we talk about patients and providers, it's a lot of times you're like, you know, I mean, they're writing reviews because we're closed. Or they're upset with you, and you're like, but...
Or you didn't accept my insurance, so you're going to get a 1-star.
So
but it's
exactly.
like, okay.
But it's not up to us. We don't make all the rules, right? There's so many levels to... Or like, we love Dr. Vaidya, but this happened. And it's like, well, you're giving his practice a 1-star review, you know? And so it's so interesting because, to your point, I feel like just as a society, take Dusty Sons and expand it to everybody, right? Because we all, even as adults, I think we need to, you know, not, you know, even your, like, no more bullet points, like, how about we stop and say, even your emails, when we first got email, they were long, lengthy emails. Hi, how are you? What are you doing? And now it's like, okay, cool. You know, yes, I'll get that to you. It's
like a text message.
It's a text
Emails
message.
are basically degenerated into that, right?
I mean, we're raising our kids in this world of like rise of technology, social media, instant gratification, cancel culture. And so it just lends them to being so impulsive, and we need to continuously like put into place these lessons, because we're losing that communication. Like, when you talk about patients, it's the bedside manner, right? It's the way that you treat someone. I was just thinking, like, I'm always brainstorming, right? Like, my lessons that I want to teach them and things that I want to share with them and talk to them about. And one that's been at the top of my mind for a while has been just like, the way that you make somebody feel is actually the only thing they're going to remember about you. And so if you really hold that and understand that the way that I reacted, yelled at them, gave them a 1-star, like, now it's really hard to see them for anything else. That had an impact on how you felt. So now I've got to like unlearn that, and it's a whole process. And so that's something that we don't talk about.
And I feel like entitlement has become a big thing these days too. Like, patients and, you know, providers both. So again, this is not just like patients are the ones that are coming and causing that issue. It's, you know, I'll speak for providers as well. I mean, there's a lot of providers that feel entitled that, hey, I don't, you know, feel like I need to give patients more than my 1 or 2 minutes. Like, you know, I'm above you, I'm just going to come see you and I'm out. Or, you know, how they treat their staff, or how they interact with other people. Patients see that as well, right? So it goes both ways. So I'm not just saying it's one or the other, but I feel like that entitlement of, you know, it's me now and that's it. And not really seeing like what lies before you. Like, this is that interaction, that communication that's lacking. And it's tough, like navigating those waters, especially post-COVID. I feel like it's kind of gotten worse, like the last year or two, right? Compared to, say, when we first opened. And I'm like, you know, there's got to be some way that we can use your Dusty Sons, you know, kind of approach.
Maybe we'll start doing something.
You know, I don't know. I don't know what
we'll have you come and file it.
You can help guide us with that. But I think in general, like, it's really, really relevant for all of us, and if we just take a little bit out of that, we can all just be better.
So that was the most surprising thing about the content, because when I started, it was like, I'm thinking about my target audience, right? And I'm thinking, oh, other moms raising boys. Okay, so that's always been my audience, moms or like 30-somethings, or, you know, it hasn't really expanded beyond that. Then I started doing the content, and it was hitting people in all different demographics. It's not just women. There are men who support me. It's parents. It's beyond parents. It's anyone who has actually been in a partnership or observed one. So you could have grown up of just observing your parents, and now I'm speaking to maybe some of the things that you saw that you wish were a little different. And so it's been really cool, because I never expected that. I never thought that the reach would be what it is, but it does speak to people in all different like categories.
Because, you know, to your point, you're not negative towards anybody. You're not putting anybody down. You're simply saying, you know, we really need to just kind of pay attention to societal norms, you know, gender norms, and just teaching your kids to be empathetic. Essentially, you're teaching them to be empathetic. Think about if it's your mom or your dad doing all this laundry, right? But they're working, like you're essentially teaching them, again, to be human. Going back to that aspect of like, hey, I want to be helpful.
Yeah.
You know, if it's dishwasher, because to all of us, right? We all live in households where both of us are working. Everyone's doing everything, right? If it's cooking or dishwasher, so it's mom or dad. But just be thoughtful, and you know, just because you're a boy versus a girl doesn't mean that one person should do it and one person should not.
Absolutely. Like when we were unpacking the suitcases and I was like frustrated and overwhelmed, and I told Carter, like, okay, you're going to take the clothes to your room and put them away. He's like, why do I have to do it? And I was like, but why would I have to do it? Because if I do it, then it's going to take me twice as long, and there are other things I want to do today.
Right.
For myself. This is something I never heard my parents say.
Yes.
I want to do something for myself later today. I might want to work out, or I might want to, you know, sit down and relax and watch TV. And like, if we don't normalize these things for ourselves, how can we expect them to take care of themselves? I did not see my mom take care of herself. She was always serving others. And so, no, later on today, mom wants to do something for herself. So put your clothes away.
No, but it's,
then I'm not going to take twice as long to do it. Sometimes it can come off sounding harsh, but like you kind of have to teach them, give them the skills.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, I was talking to a friend, and you know, we're talking about, you know, moving like into like, you know, the new year, and like kind of how, you know, what's on your, like, what do you think about resolution wise or intention or vision? And I said, you know, we talked about like, how do you want your day to go? And if you think about it, if you do map out your day and you want to do things for yourself, if it's working out, if it's meditation, whatever it is where it's just carved out time for yourself, in order to achieve that, you do need to work as a team. Because if you take everything on yourself, there's never time for you, right? Because you're waking up, you're making lunches, you're getting breakfast, you're putting breakfast away, you're going to work, you're coming home, you're doing dinner, you're doing the dishes. And so if you really want to be able to, you know, focus on a day where you're able to do these little things for yourself, which are only going to help your health. They're going to improve your health. They're going to improve your mind, your mental state, or everything. You do need the help. You do need everyone to band together and say, we're going to do everything together. To your point, if we all do the dishes after dinner, you know, you clean the island and you vacuum and you all this, it's going to be done 15 minutes versus an hour and 20. And now you're frustrated and you haven't released your, you know, energy, or you haven't been able to work out, or you haven't been able to just, you know, meditate a little bit, whatever it is. Now you're that cranky parent or that reactive person or spouse, right? Now you're like resentful because you had to do everything and you had no help and you had no time for you. And that's when you're living in an environment where everyone's just snapping at each other, and you become resentful, and you become closed off from to each of you. You're not communicating. You're literally robots.
Yeah,
this is
so
my day,
you're cranky, but no one knows why. And it's like, why is she always in a bad mood?
Right.
Well, there's a reason. You got to dig beyond that.